Graham and Diane live in a quiet street in Springfield Lakes, just outside Brisbane. They bought their house in 1994 for $210,000. Today, it is worth just under $1.1 million. They paid it off 11 years ago. No mortgage, no debt, and for the last 3 years, they have been getting a combined part pension of just over $1,100 a fortnight from Centrelink. Their son moved to Perth for work. Their daughter is 2 suburbs away but works full-time and has 3 kids of her own. The house has 4 bedrooms and a big backyard that Graham used to love mowing. These days, his hip does not agree with the mower, so they did what feels like the most sensible thing in the world. They sold the family home, bought a smaller townhouse 20 minutes away, and figured they would finally have some breathing room. Extra cash in the bank, less to look after. More time for the grandkids. 5 months after settlement, their pension payment dropped. Permanently. $9,000 a year, gone, and nobody at the bank, the real estate agency, or even their own accountant flagged it before they signed anything. If you are watching this and you own your home outright, or you are thinking about downsizing in the next year or two, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes. Because the rule that caught Graham and Diane out just changed again in July 2026, and almost nobody is talking about it yet. This is RetireScope AU, and this channel exists for exactly this reason. Australian retirement rules are written in language most people find genuinely hard to follow, and the cost of not understanding them can be thousands of dollars a year, permanently, from a decision that felt completely reasonable at the time. If that sounds like something you want more of, hit like on this video right now and subscribe. Because next week I am covering another Centrelink change most retirees have not heard about yet. Alright, let's get into exactly what happened to Graham and Diane, because once you see the mechanics you will understand why this trap is catching so many Australians right now. Centrelink runs 2 tests on every pensioner, the assets test and the income test. Whichever one gives you the lower payment is the one that applies to you. Most people have heard of the assets test. Almost nobody understands the income test properly, and that is exactly where this trap lives. Here are the actual numbers as they stand from the 1st of July 2026. For a single homeowner, you can hold assessable assets up to $333,000 and still get the full pension. For a homeowner couple, that number is $499,000. Go above that and your pension starts shrinking by $3 a fortnight for every extra $1,000 in assets, until it disappears completely at $733,500 for a single homeowner, or just over $1.1 million for a homeowner couple. Your family home does not count in any of this. It is completely exempt no matter what it is worth. The problem starts the moment you sell it and that value turns into cash sitting in your bank account. Now here is where most people, including Graham and Diane, get genuinely confused because Centrelink does have a rule designed to protect you during a sale. It is called the Home Sale Proceeds Exemption, and honestly, if you use it properly, it is one of the more generous rules in the entire system. If you sell your home with a real intention of buying another one, the portion of the money you plan to spend on the new place is exempt from the assets test for up to 24 months. In some cases, if you can show genuine delays outside your control, that stretches out to 36 months. That is longer than most people realize, and longer than it used to be. But here's the catch, and this is the part that trips people up every single time. That protection only covers the exact amount you intend to spend on the next home. Anything left over, the surplus, is counted as an accessible asset from day one. No grace period, no 24 months, straight away. Graham and Diane sold their house for $1.1 million. They bought their new townhouse for $680,000. That left roughly $420,000 sitting in their account, and every single dollar of that surplus was fully accessible the moment it hit their bank. Think of it like a footy team with a fixed number of players allowed on the field. The moment one extra player runs on, the ref blows the whistle immediately. There is no warning lap. Centrelink works exactly the same way with that surplus cash. But that is only half the story, and this is the part almost nobody explains properly, including a lot of financial advisors who should know better. Graham and Diane had heard about something called the downsizer contribution. Since 2018, anyone over 55 can put up to $300,000 per person from the sale of their home straight into superannuation, on top of the normal contribution caps. For a couple, that is up to $600,000 combined. It sounds like the perfect answer to their surplus cash problem. Here is the detail that caught them out. That contribution has to be made within 90 days of settlement. Not 90 days from when you decide to do it, 90 days from the actual settlement date on the paperwork. Miss that window and the opportunity is gone permanently. You cannot ask for an extension. You cannot backdate it. Graham and Diane were busy moving house, dealing with removalists, unpacking boxes, and setting up their new place. By the time they sat down with their accountant to sort out the surplus cash, they were 4 months past settlement. The 90-day window had already closed weeks earlier. That surplus stayed sitting in their savings account as a fully assessable financial asset. And here is where the income test quietly did the rest of the damage. As of July 2026, Centrelink assumes your financial assets earn a set rate of return, whether they actually do or not. This is called deeming, and the thresholds just moved again. For a couple, the first $110,600 in combined financial assets is deemed to earn 1.25%. Everything above that is deemed at 3.25%, regardless of what their bank was actually paying them in interest. On $420,000 of surplus cash, that works out to roughly $10,000 a year in assumed income, whether Graham and Diane ever saw that money as interest or not. That assumed income pushed them over the income test threshold, and because Centrelink always applies whichever test gives you the lower payment, the income test is the one that quietly took over and cut their pension by $9,000 a year. Here's what genuinely gets me about this whole system. Nobody rang Graham and Diane to warn them the 90-day clock was ticking. No letter arrived saying, hey, you are about to lose access to one of the best tools available to you. The first they heard about any of it was a payment that simply turned up smaller one fortnight, with no explanation attached. I want to pause here for a second, because I know some of you are doing the maths on your own situation right now and feeling that little knot in your stomach. That is a completely normal reaction, and I am not telling you this story to scare you off downsizing. Downsizing can still be one of the smartest moves available to you in retirement. You just need to know the sequence before you sign anything, not after. There is actually a third trap hiding in plain sight, and this one catches people who have not sold anything at all. If your combined assets were already sitting close to the couple threshold before the July update, the new deeming thresholds and the new asset limits can shift your position without you touching a single dollar. Log into MyGov and check your current payment rate against what you were getting 6 months ago. If it has quietly dropped and nobody explained why, that is usually your answer. So let's talk about what Graham and Diane could have done differently, because every single mistake in this story was completely avoidable, and I want you walking away from this video with an actual plan, not just a warning. Step 1. Before you even list your property, ring the service's Australia Financial Information Service on 132300. It is free, it is run by the government, and the people on the other end of that call are trained specifically to model how a sale will affect your pension before you commit to anything. Graham told me later that 15-minute phone call would have saved them the entire headache. Step 2. Use the pension calculator through your MyGov account and actually run your numbers before you sign a contract. Put in your expected sale price, your expected purchase price, and see what your accessible assets and your pension entitlement would look like on the other side. Step 3. If you are planning to use the downsizer super contribution, lock in the 90-day deadline the same week you settle, not the same week you finish unpacking. Put a reminder in your phone the day settlement happens. This one detail alone could have saved Graham and Diane $9,000 a year. Step 4. Notify Centrelink within 14 days of exchanging contracts, not 14 days after settlement. The clock on your sale proceeds exemption starts earlier than most people expect, and getting the timing wrong can cost you part of that protection. Step 5. If you know you are going to have genuine surplus cash left over after the new place is paid for, plan where that money goes before settlement day, not after. Whether that is superannuation, home improvements on the new place, or simply understanding what it will do to your deemed income, decide it in advance with a proper advisor, not on the fly. Step 6, and this one matters even if you never plan to move. Check your current pension rate against the new July 2026 thresholds. The rules shift 3 times a year, in March, July, and September, and a lot of retirees are sitting on outdated assumptions about what actually applies to them right now. Graham and Diane eventually sorted their situation out with the help of a financial advisor, and while they could not recover the missed downsizer window, understanding exactly what had happened gave them back a sense of control. They are settled into the new place now, closer to their daughter, and Graham has traded the lawnmower for a much smaller courtyard garden he actually enjoys looking after. But that 6 months of confusion, the reduced payments, the phone calls to Centrelink, trying to understand a letter written in language that felt like it belonged in a different language altogether, none of that needed to happen. One conversation before the sale would have changed the entire outcome. If this video gave you something you did not know 5 minutes ago, do me a favor and share it with someone who is thinking about downsizing right now. A parent, a neighbor, a friend who mentioned last week that the house feels too big these days. This is exactly the kind of thing that only helps people if it actually reaches them in time. Drop a comment and let me know where you are at. Are you a homeowner sitting on the fence about downsizing? Have you already been through something like this yourself? Or is this the first time you are hearing about the 90-day rule? I read every single comment, and honestly, they shape a lot of what I cover next on this channel. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.